Fiona Whitten from Oakfield Crafts here. It's a Wednesday and that means it's either card and a cuppa or time for just a Facebook Live where I share a card and stamping technique. So it's not card and a cuppa, so therefore it must be the other. I don't know if you saw on my post yesterday that planned to share with you how to make one of these cute box cards. Now they're very simple, believe it or not, and hopefully you can see that this is why I called it a box card, because it just looks like an open box from the top. But the nice thing about it is that yes, it stands up by itself, but also when you push it down it will go flat, and it will fit into a standard size UK card. So depending on how much you put on top, obviously depends on whether it bumps it into the next category up for when it comes to postage. So if you keep it flat, it will go as standard post. Obviously I've put some extra bits and pieces on my one here. So this will end up going as a large letter. So this was one that the photo that I posted yesterday. And then this is another. Now both sets of paper come from the July to December catalogue. It's called, the paper itself is called Whimsy and Wonder, and you'll find it on page 25 of the catalogue. So that's what I've used in here, and then I've used various bits and pieces that I also had. So I've used the layering circle dies to cut the circles. The bits here and there are the middle of that, what was the original circle. This is the paper that I've just simply cut. So there's sheets that just have parcels on. And then these are snowflakes that I have die cut using another set of my dies. And I will put photographs of both of these and the one that I'm going to make this morning up on Facebook, and then I will label them so you know what exactly I've used for each of these. Okay, so to make this card, I simply started with a sheet of A4 thick basic white cardstock. So I'm just going to put these to one side for a minute. I seem to have accumulated an awful lot of stuff here. So I'm going to get my trimmer out. So I have a sheet of, this is the thick cardstock. It's, I'm trying to find a piece of the normal. So this is the normal, and it's far more flexible. The thick stuff is really good for making card bases. So I'm going to start off with a sheet of that, and I'm just going to cut it in half. So I'm going to cut it. At 14.85 because that is the exact half, like that. So there's my other piece, which I can make another card from, and then I'm going to turn it and I'm going to cut it in half again. So effectively, I have 2/4 of an A4 sheet. So half an A4 sheet cut in half again gives you 2/4. So these two pieces will actually make your card. So then we just need to do a little bit of scoring. Now I know this is 10.5 centimetres from top to bottom. So I want my front of my card to be square. You don't have to. You can make it rectangular, shorter, not as wide or even wider, but you need to make sure that you've got enough space down here to score some other lines. So what I did with this one, because I want 10.5, I actually scored it at 10.5 to start off with, but actually if you score it at 2.1, like that, and then 4.2, and you only do this on one end, but you do it on both of them. So there's one that I've scored. going to score the next one, the other one. So they're going to score at 2.1 again. This is centimetres, not inches, just so that you know. And then 4.2. So I know roughly that the piece that I've got here now is 10.5 wide. So I've got a square piece here and a square piece there. And that is all the scoring and that you need to do for your card base. So you're then going to take your two pieces, and with them on the two scored lines on the left hand side, you're going to make the first score line a valley fold, which means it's like a V, like so. And then the next score line you're going to make as a mountain fold. So in effect, it will look like that. And you want to burnish those really well. And I just realised that my bone folder is on the other side of the room. But hey ho, I'll just use, I know what I can use. I can use a block. She says, you know, I'm just going to use this block. It's surprising what you can find that will work just as well around. So that's one piece. And then again, the second piece, you're going to do the first score line to the left on the outside as a valley fold, and then the next one as a mountain fold. So these two pieces will look identical at the moment. So you've got, at the moment, you've got both sets of thinner panels to the left hand side. Now what you want to do is you want to turn, I'm going to turn the top one around so that the score lines are now on the right hand side, and then I'm just going to turn it over. I'm going to flip it over so that the what you would think to be the back side is actually pushing up. And then what we're going to do is simply we're going to pick those up, and then this panel here will get glued to there, and that panel will get glued to there, and that makes your basic box card. Hopefully you can see that like that. But before I stick it together, we really want to decorate it. So if you flatten everything out again, because it's a lot easier to stick things on when things are flat. So we're going to decorate this. Now I'm not going to, these two, as I said, are the Whimsy and Wonder paper, but I thought just for a bit of fun I would use some different paper. So I have here, and I think it's really cute, some of this, and it's called Sweet Stockings. So I'm just going to take it out the packet. Ooh, get rid of the plastic there. Move that out of the way. So it's got cats, dogs, mice, all sorts of things. So you've got some larger animals, cats in boxes, of course, they're always fun. I mean, what cat doesn't love a box? And then on the other side, we just have some cherry cobbler stitching. Then we have a sheet of, again, some cats and dogs and a budgie. The cat, it's just Grumpy Cat. I think he's absolutely adorable. And obviously the dog's gotten into a spot of trouble because it's somehow managed to get a wreath on its head, around its neck. So again, we've just got some cherry cobbler and basic white pattern. The next one is stockings. So we've got stars on the reverse of that. Next sheet is cute little corgi type dogs, pussycats and goldfish, and then baubles as well. And then the reverse that side of that is old olive and black stripes. Not everyone's cup of tea. And then the last sheet is baubles, not baubles, light bulbs. So it's like the lights that you would put on a tree. And on the reverse side, it's simply sort of checked. Now, this is what I'm going to use. I've decided I'm going to use this because I don't want too much of a fuss on here. because I want what I put here to be the thing that stands out more. Right. So first off, I'm going to cut myself a strip of paper that is 10 centimetres wide. The reason I'm doing that is that we're sticking it onto something that is 10.5 centimetres wide. So I simply want it to be 0.5 centimetre smaller. Now the question is, do I want this to be the piece that's going to go on the square part? And I think the answer to that is yes. So I'm going to cut this at 10 by 10. So I have my first square, which is going to sit on here. Now, if you want to cut other layers, you can do. But I found that certainly with the panels here on the side, because they're only just over 2 centimetres wide, if you start getting extra layers, then you will in effect lose the paper on there. So I'm going to turn this over because I actually now want to cut a panel which is, it needs to be just under 2 centimetres wide. So I'm just going to cut it at 1.8. And then I know that that piece will fit on there and that piece here. Will fit on here. So that's the paper cut for the back, for the front even. Dearie me, I'm having a good day today. Okay, so then we have the back. Now I'm going to flip everything over. So I'm going to cut this piece here to be 10 by 10. So that we've got that there. And then I want to flip it over again and I want to cut two that are 1.8. I like to, certainly on these pieces, I like to be able to cut across rather than down, because then I know that when I come to glue this on, the picture in effect continues. See, when I put it on here, then you know that this lines up. Then I have a little piece left. So that is that. And then we just need to glue those on. So this card is really quite surprisingly quick to make. It's just, as I said, 2 pieces of cardstock, some double-sided paper. I mean, I haven't even got a second sheet out. I've used one sheet and just used both sides and alternated it. So I'm going to stick that on like so. Stick that one on. Make sure that this is the right way so that I've got my light bulbs kind of lining up like that. And then now you don't have to put some paper on here. You could just leave it as white to put your, and you can then write on it. But I decided I quite like the idea of having a border on here of the paper. So I'm going to put this paper on, and then I'm going to cut another piece of white to sit inside it. So that is that. So that's my back. And then I'm going to do the same again with the front, but this time the front has the reverse on. So instead of the checked, seem to be all fingers and thumbs. So instead of the checked, I'm just going to use that. And I've got a bit of glue there that's squidged out. I need to get that off quickly before I end up putting it everywhere. That's that. And then these 2 pieces, it doesn't matter so much about whether they line up, because it's just a sort of checked pattern. So let's put that one on. So once you've made your card like this, you can then figure out what it is you want to do with the actual front and how you want to decorate it. Now, so that's that piece. So that's the front and the back decorated. I know I do need to cut a piece to go on the back here. So this is 10 by 10. So long as it's square, it doesn't really matter. So you could go down an inch and do 9 by 9 or 9.5 by 9.5. I'm going to do 9 by 9 because I want to show a little bit more of the pattern on the paper. Like that, so that will go on there, but I am not going to glue it on just yet because I haven't decided what I want to do to decorate it. So that's the back of my card, that's the front of my card. And then the $64 million question is, what am I going to do here on the front to decorate it a bit more? So as I said here on this one, I started off with two layering circle dies, and I simply, she says, cut out a donut. Whoops. And I know it's here somewhere. Because I did cut it. I know I did. But it looks like I misplaced it. Hey-ho. But if you don't have the layering circles or any nesting dies, so you can make it square, you can make it circular, you can, well, do whatever shape really that you want to in there, or you can do something slightly different. So what I've done here is I've cut out what looks to be a fancy die from the painted label die. So it looks like this. I haven't actually knocked all the bits out yet. So this is from the painted label dies, and then this is just a circle that I'm going to put on top of it. So it's as I said, completely different to that one, although it's the same basic principle. It's just making use of what you have. So the painted label, so this is the painted label. These are the layering circles. And then I'm going to use an image from the paper. And then the question is which image is where I find the circle in a second. Now, I was thinking about using Grumpy Cat, but actually Grumpy Cat's going in the kits for the next month's card and a cuppa. So I might actually use the dog instead. It's not going to matter too much if it goes over. I don't have the stamp set simply because doing the card and a cuppas, I'm not allowed to send stamped images, so I've tried this year as much as possible to keep to simply paper, and yeah, it does require a little bit of fussy cutting, but I think it's worth it. So I'm going to go for this image here. I could go for this one, but we've lost his tail. It's kind of hanging off there. So I'm just going to quickly, and I'm not even going to go around all the bits of the wreath. I am just simply going to go roughly around it because it's going to be sitting on a white circle. And the piece that I cut out that the circle's sitting on is actually in cherry cobbler, which is another of the colours that you'll find in this paper pack. So it's cherry cobbler, old olive, which are kind of very traditional Christmas colours, pool party, which is that blue, bumblebee, which is the other colour to the the lights there. So let's see, how quickly can I do this? So I don't know if you guys are cat or dog people. We've got both by default. So we have Kyla, who's the dog who lives here in the UK, and then Michael has a cat that lives with him in the US. Kylo was originally Michael's dog, but that's a long story which I'm not going to bore you with today. Those of you who know me know what went on there. Needless to say, the dog basically moved from Chicago to the UK. So he's going to sit on here. Like so. Dear, better not take his tummy off. That will be a bit of a disaster. Sorry, I think I might have been out of shot there. There we go. So he's going to sit on here with the wreath around his neck. He's looking very smug. So we're going to put him on there. And I think, you know what, I might just do the budgie as well. And another dog. And I'll show you why in a minute. This one I'm not too worried about the fact that... so I'm going to use him, even though he's got not all of his tail. And the reason I'm doing that, I just wanted to show you there is no reason why you can't use bits of images that are on your paper. I know a lot of people will just, okay, well, I'll just screw it up and throw it in the bin, which is kind of, I was going to say sacrilege, but I mean, I was, notice I say was, guilty of doing that. Now I try and use as much of the images as possible. One way of doing that is by using the cut off images on edges of paper that go, cardstock that go inside your cards or on your envelopes. Yeah, it does mean a bit more cutting, but hey, at least you're not wasting the double-sided paper, because let's face it, we're all kind of when it comes to double-sided paper, we're kind of addicts, and we all like it, we all keep it, and we should use it. So I'm going to put him on here, so it doesn't matter that we've lost half his bottom. So I'm going to glue him on here, and then I've still got space to write something. Where did I put the glue? There we go. There it is. So I don't need to put glue on all of him, because as I said, I'm going to be cutting some of him off. So I'm just going to do his head and his front paws like that. Have him lined up with the edge of the paper like that. And then I can then just cut off that piece of him. So he's all, so he'll go on there. So we've got the dog, the front and the back. Now I was thinking about putting the budgie on his head, but I don't know. He might actually be a bit too big for it, but let's see. He's very sweet. And we kind of forget about some of the smaller images on the paper. I mean, I know I have in the past. Yeah, okay, so I'm leaving the fir bits of the fir tree and everything, but at the end of the day, there is really only so much you can do. I know there are people who would actually sit and fussy cut all of those out as well, but that's not me. I don't mind doing larger things. See if I can get keep it, I don't want to cut his head off. Right. So let's see now, do I put him on his back? Actually, that's quite cute. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'm going to stick him on there then. So then the other decision I need to make is, am I going to glue this flat on here and then pop him up, or or what, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this on flat. Because as I said, the more height you put on it, the more likely it is that it's going to get, well, this will have to go as a large letter. So I'm going to pop this one up. And where are my dimensionals? Here we go, here they are. So I'm going to pop this up and put it on top. If you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments. I cannot see comments and things now that I'm back in the UK. Our internet is absolutely rubbish. In fact, it's been so bad the last couple of days that I have actually given up on a couple of occasions. Now, do I want to pop him up as well? I don't think I will. I will just put him down, and then I might pop up the... need to be careful here that I'm not putting too much glue in it, because I don't really want to stick it to the that other bit there. I'm going to put him on so that bits of his head and bits of his tail are hanging off. Now the budgie, I think I will pop him up on a dimensional. I'm just going to put one on. I could put more, but I'm just going to pop him up so that he's on, sitting on the dog's back. This piece is simply going to get glued now to the back of the card. Like so. That's just going to go on there. As I said, you've still got plenty of space to put to write, or you could have stamped, I could have stamped a sentiment, but I decided I wasn't going to. Right, so, and then the other thing you need to do, which is precisely what I've done wrong, is before you stick it together and before you start putting things on, that you double check that you're not going to end up with something upside down, which is precisely what's going to happen here. Not good, not a good look. So I'm going to have to somehow get this peeled off. Well, I know I've only just stuck it, and I think I'm going to have to carefully take this off. Oops. Oh, might just make it. Now, if yours is stuck down a bit more than this, you can actually use floss, you know, the stuff that you use for doing your teeth. So that wants to go that way. Now, do I want to just do that and start again? I'm just going to make do with this for the time being, and hopefully when it dries, it will dry flat. And you won't see so many bobbles and things. It's either that or I'm going to have to put much more stuff on that. So yeah, so if you use floss, you can get floss down between the two, and then you can get it off that way as well. Let's see. I'll try putting it down with some like that. Hopefully that will dry flatter. Okay, I might get away with it. So yes, so before you do glue that piece on, make sure which way your card is going. Don't do what I did. So you want to stick it so that you have panels each end. So you on the back one, they're going to be on the left hand side, and on the front they're going to be on the left hand side. It's just that when you flip this, you're going to flip it like that and then glue it. Now I would suggest that you take the front panel and glue that bit first. So you're simply going to place or apply your glue or tape or whatever it is that you're using to that first thin panel. So if you have it facing you, or upside down I should say, so it's that first panel on the left, and you're simply going to line up that panel with the left hand side of the back, like so. And you want to make sure that it's flush and square. That looks good. So that's going to get glued like that. And then you're going to put some glue on that panel and then close that over so that you know when it's flat that it is flat. Because sometimes when you score, you might end up with the measurement. The measurement sometimes goes slightly astray because the score lines, if they're deeper than the other, one's deeper than the other, then that will put the lines out slightly. So I always suggest if you just put the glue on here and then just simply fold that front down and try to make sure that it is square top and bottom. And then when you turn it over, you may find that it's not quite square on the end, but this one is. Oh, that one I trimmed. And that one was okay. So it's just, this scoring sometimes just puts it a bit off. And really that is it. So he's now done. So I'm finished with him. I think I might put some Wink of Stella on him. And I'm going to put some rhinestones on as well. I'm not quite sure where I'm going to put them, but I will put some on. Where's my pick tool? Oh, there it is. And I'll find those circles in a minute. You wait. You know what? I'm just going to put that in there. Oops. That one can go here. And that one can go. I don't put too many rhinestones on, just enough, just to give it a little bit of sparkle. So that is it. So that is my box card. I will, as I said, take photographs of everything. Well, I've got photographs of that already up, but I will then, in the notes, what you'll have to do is you'll have to click on each picture just to find out what was used and the measurements. But the measurements for all of them are exactly the same. So it's basically each piece here is a quarter of a sheet of A4. So you, as I said, you can get one card out of half a sheet, which is basically not what you would normally do anyway. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing that. Kits for Card and a Cuppa for next month are going in the post. I've almost finished them actually, so they'll be going in the post tomorrow. This coming weekend I've got Christmas Stamper Stack. Tomorrow I will be releasing details of the class in October, and that may be subject to change depending on what's happening with back orders and shipping. We are, have to say, sadly experiencing shipping issues with UPS. Like everybody else, things are taking somewhat longer, which means that stuff is not necessarily getting to the warehouse on time. So I'm going to have to be a little bit flexible when it comes to classes in the foreseeable future. And hopefully over the next 6 months or so, things will settle down and we'll know exactly what's going on. I mean, as it is, I'm trying to order a month in advance. That way I know that I will have everything ready for you for classes. So yeah, class details for October will go up tomorrow. Kits, Card and Cuppa kits go in the post. We're almost at the end of the month, which means that celebration will be ending. So if there's anything you still want from celebration, be it stamp set or paper or dies, then you only have until the end of the month to order. So just a quick reminder about that. Also, of course, the joining offer where you get the extra bundle for free. So that too will be going at the end of the month. And yeah, that's it. So take care. I will see you next week. I will be back here with another card stamping technique or fancy fold or something, whatever I can figure out. And then obviously 6th of October is the first of the card in the cuppers. So that's in 2 weeks' time. So take care and I hope to see you soon. Bye.